What it is, people, my name is Nate, and welcome back. Happy 2016 to you, by the way. It is January 1st as I record this video, which, that means I haven't made a video since last year, which is a little funny when you think about it. But, today I want to talk about is Black Ops 3's team selection process. So, in case you don't remember, previously in Advanced Warfare, skill-based matchmaking was introduced. Prior to Advanced Warfare, however, games and lobbies were only put together based upon players that had strong, similar, compatible connectivity, right? Players that connected well to each other would be matched together in the same lobby, right? Well, what this did is it really lowered ping. It really helped reduce those connection interrupteds that you get a lot, and altogether made the game a much less laggy experience. Well, then Advanced Warfare comes out, right? Skill-based matchmaking becomes a thing, which adds skill to the equation. And while connectivity is still considered, the primary dictating term in who got matched into which lobby with who was now similar statistics. Primarily your kill-death ratio and your score per minute, or SPM. So these two statistics really determined who got matched with who. They tried to put people with equal stats in the same lobbies. And while, as I said before, connection was still there, per se, in terms of matchmaking, it wasn't emphasized as much. And as a result, pings got a little bit higher, connection interrupteds became a bit more prevalent of a thing if you were in a dedicated server, and the game got a little more laggy and choppy, if you will. Now, this was a big complaint among players, right? The other complaint about skill-based matchmaking that the community had was the fact that one of the big reasons why players play Call of Duty is because they love getting those games where they just wreck house, you know? They get into a lucky lobby, everyone else is a little less good in terms of skill level, and they allow them to really do good and perform well and just get that adrenaline rush that you get when you go on those big kill streaks or just do really well in a game. Well, with skill-based matchmaking in Advanced Warfare, now you really couldn't get that lucky anymore because everyone you got in a game with was probably going to be a pretty equal skill. And even if your skill improved throughout the game, then you would only be matched in lobbies with even more skilled players, right? So it became a bit of a problem, almost a paradox of sorts. And it was very difficult for players to get into those lobbies where they can do really good without putting their sweaty try-hard pants on, if you will. So it made the game a lot more frustrating, particularly for me, because I really like to win, right? So, and every game I got into, I had to go try hard, right? If I wanted to do good, I'd end up sweating and just getting really into it if I wanted to win. And that's not what I like to do with Call of Duty. I like to be a little less dedicated, if you will, just kind of be a bit more casual about it. But that was almost impossible to do in Advanced Warfare. Well, now we're here with Black Ops 3. And Black Ops 3 has promised not to introduce skill-based matchmaking, which to this point, from what we can see, they haven't. There's been a little bit of controversy over this, but so far we have yet to prove that they've implemented skill-based matchmaking. However, there is something else that has been added that's very similar and a little bit disturbing that does almost the same thing. So I started thinking about this just about yesterday. Now, before that, I've been playing Black Ops 3 a lot for a few months, right? But the thing was, I'd always noticed that when I was playing, oftentimes I would get paired with really bad players on my team. Like, everyone else on my team wasn't doing that hot as I was, and I'd end up carrying these players throughout the game, as the other team was just stomping on them, right? Now, I personally usually would do pretty good in games, but I'd have to carry my team through if I wanted to win, and the other team would get barrages of score streaks, and ultimately become a very difficult challenge for me, who the burden of winning the game almost completely solely fell on, right? Well, I personally thought that this was just a coincidence. This happened to me a lot, but I didn't really think much of it. It's I'm just an unlucky guy, right? Well, yesterday, a good YouTuber friend of mine by the name of TizzyQ, by the way, check out his channel, he makes really good content. Please, tell him Nate sent you, but he made a video yesterday where he talked about how he was getting frustrated, and a similar thing was happening to him. He was always being put into games with people that weren't really that good on his team, yet the other team had relatively average, going positive players. While TizzyQ was doing really good himself, his team was really bad, but the other players were good. So that was a problem for him, and it made me think, hey, wait a minute, I'm not the only guy that's having this problem. So I did some air quotations here, research, which is basically just means Googled shit, but I found out that Black Ops 3's team building system is likely to be very different from old games. So what Black Ops 3 supposedly does now is, while match criteria is still completely dictated by connectivity, as far as we know, skill does no longer play a factor, all it is connectivity. What they still do, however, is out of all 12 players that are connected into a lobby, as long as it's not ground war, will be matched like this. The best player in the game will be put on one team with the top 5 worst players in the lobby. The best player and the 5 worst, lowest score per minute, lowest kill death ratios will go with him. The other team will be made of the remaining players, who are all likely to be a little bit more average than most, which, as you can see, this is an interesting decision, and when you first think about it, it makes some sense, but it doesn't seem right, because what ends up happening is you get this really good player with 5 not so hot players that player is now tasked with carrying those people, and the burden of winning the game falls upon our poor, really good player, right? Now, the other team, they're all average, and the best player on the game is on one team. But the problem here is that while this best player can probably easily dominate any of the top 5 on the other team in a 1v1 or something, all 5 together against his team is going to be an issue, because what happens is even though he's winning gunfights with them, even though he's going positive, even though he's capping objectives, the other team is able just to wreck his allies and his other teammates and build score streaks on those. Call in wraiths, call in anything they really want, air support 24/7, and make it a very big challenge for the best player on the opposing team to do anything about. Because no matter how good you are, a hailstorm of wraiths and RIPSs isn't going to be a fun thing to deal with. And it makes the game a very difficult thing, especially if the player rage quits, right? Because I'm going to be honest with you, all right? I've rage quit games before. I'm not St. Peter or anything, okay? I mean, I've been in games, I felt I was doing pretty good. I go, usually most games now, I go like 20-5, 20-6, but sometimes I'll just get so mad at my teammates. It's like, come on, bro, come on, Ralph, at the bottom of the score, 4 kills, 35 deaths. This is a team deathmatch, baby. Step it up, carry your own weight. And I'd get frustrated, and I'd just leave, right? Because I wouldn't want to continue playing that. And obviously, I basically threw my team to the dogs over there, but it was so frustrating the way this was matched. And I got angry sometimes because I feel like I performed very well to a high accord, to a high standard, and did my part plus more. I felt like I exceeded, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have had the similar problem as well. You feel, I achieved above and beyond, baby. But the rest of my team, they're not that great, you know? And this other team, they're all average players, right? 1.0 KDs. But on my team, I've got Ralph over here with a freaking .01 KD. What are you to do? So it makes the game very frustrating. It's almost like the system is stacked against really good players who play solo. Now, obviously, the solution here to this is to party up with friends. What this will do is this will guarantee you're put into a team with said friends you partied up with, which is a bit of a cool thing to fall back on. But the problem is, I'm up really late personally, right? I'll stay up till like 5 in the morning some days, just making videos, getting gameplays, you know, drinking Red Bulls, studying sometimes. And what happens is I'll be playing alone. I really won't have anyone to play with. So solo play is a big thing for me, and it really frustrates me, as I'm sure some of you also have a similar problem as well. But I still don't understand the logic behind a system like this, and it proceeds to just fascinate me why they would make such a decision. Because even then, even if you're a lower tier player, if you're solely depending on one guy on your team, it doesn't seem like there's much of a chance you're going to win the game or you're going to improve that much, you know? And this is by no way to wreck on you if you just got the game, or if you're new to the franchise, or if you're new to Black Ops 3, if you're just not that great at the game, but it just doesn't make much sense to me. I'm not criticizing any player at all, I'm criticizing Treyarch's decision, which I just can't make sense of. Anyways, guys, hopefully Treyarch updates this somehow, or does something about it, because it's making my gameplay a lot harder to do, right? I no longer can just dominate games with my teams as often as I could. Of course, you've seen some gameplays of mine, which, keep in mind, the gameplays I release are the best of the best. Those are the best games I can possibly get, the best games I can give to you. But oftentimes, I'm struggling. I'm struggling in these games because I'm getting bombarded with score streaks, and I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I just play bad. I'm not perfect. I'm not St. Peter, as I've just said. But it's a combination of all these things that really makes it a bit more difficult for higher tier, better players to perform, seeing as the system is rather stacked against them in a sense. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something new. Like if you liked, dislike if you disliked. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye, and Happy New Year, baby! Woo! 2016!